The Rideau Canal is now closed for the season, and for the second year in a row, there has been less skating days than desired. Since its opening in 1970, the Rideau Canal has been a draw for locals and for tourists alike. For almost 20 years, it's been known as the Guinness World Record holder for the longest ice rink in the world. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, what could its future look like if the seasons keep shrinking? Here to tell us what the future of skating on the canal looks like, we're joined by David Phillips, Senior Climatologist with Environment Canada. Welcome, Dave.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Nice to be with you.
Okay, so keeping in mind that the average days that the canal used to be open was 50, last year, 2023, it did not open at all. This year, it was only open for 10 days. Are we seeing the end of the Rideau Canal as a winter pastime?
Well, there's no doubt about it. Our winter climate has changed in Canada dramatically everywhere, and also in Ottawa. And it's more difficult now to see those kind of winter-like days where we have ice skating in the backyard or, the ice huts across the country. It's just these symbols are changing in Canada. But it doesn't mean we're seeing the end of winter as we know it. I think the winters are perhaps shorter, they're less maybe intense. So what we have to do, which we are doing, is we have to learn to adapt to the kind of changes that we have seen. It's not throwing in the towel and say, okay, winter's not going to be, we'll just prevent it. Because 3 years ago, Anne-Marie, it was a perfect winter in Ottawa for skating on the ice, on the Rideau ice skateway.
Okay.
I mean, we had over 50 days with ice. You had skating from mid-January to early March. I mean, the problem was at times it was too cold. I mean, the wind chill was so severe you couldn't skate. So I think having 2 years is not a trend make. And we've seen the fact that El Nino, a bit last year it started, and this year, of course, in full force, I think has created problems. But what we've learned is how to grow ice. I mean, we're just not leaving for the nature to decide, okay, when the temperature falls below freezing, then ice forms. You can groom it, you can spray water from below and above it, and we've learned how to do that. And I think the money spent is well spent to try to gain more days and more weeks out of what is, in fact, a changing season.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You said that we have to adapt to the changing seasons.
Yes.
We've talked a little bit about money, and just to give everybody an idea, in the last 2 years, they've spent about $2 million trying to keep this open. So is there a way to keep the canal open, and is it worth the money that we're going to spend?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the benefits far outweigh the costs in terms of the satisfaction that people have of skating in Ottawa. I mean, it's parts of people's bucket list. It's a part of our image in the world is the Great White North. And I think that what we've learned last year and this year in terms of engineering and technology and scientists, and in terms of growing that ice and getting more time, more days and weeks, which are very valuable. And Anne-Marie, we've seen it elsewhere. I mean, there's not a viable ski resort in Canada that doesn't make their snow. I mean, years ago, you never made snow, but now you do. And in the far north, the ice roads, which is the economic lifeline for northerners and moving people and medicines and food and fuel. I mean, you couldn't do that with just nature alone. So we've learned how to work with the ice and get more of those days where we can have longer seasons, both for the ice roads, the skating, and on the Rideau, and now and certainly the ski resorts. But certainly what we've learned last year, I mean, just what we learned last year was probably easier to grow ice in Ottawa than this year. This year was much warmer, a third of the snow. But what we learned from last year and this year, we got a few more days. So next year, without El Nino, I think it will be it'll be wide open in terms of skating. But I think we've come to realize the challenges of climate change. We need to not only cut emissions, which we do, but we need to adapt. We're great adapters as Canadians, and I think that is sort of the lesson from these last couple of years in Ottawa.
Listen, the NCC and tourists alike, people in the city of Ottawa, everybody's happy to hear that I think we're going to be good for next year. David, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.